The lights of the studio glared brightly as the cameras rolled. Millions were watching live, waiting for what was supposed to be a lively debate between Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, one of the most recognized progressive voices in Congress, and Sylvester Stallone, the legendary actor whose career had been built not just on movies, but on his outspoken advocacy for veterans and first responders. At first, the conversation was civil. The moderator asked questions about healthcare, about support for soldiers returning home, and about government funding for veteran programs. AOC leaned forward, confident and articulate, making her case that America needed sweeping reforms. Stallone listened quietly, his jaw tight, his hands clasped together, but then the tension broke. AOC turned directly to Stallone, her words sharp and cutting. "With all due respect, Mr. Stallone, you've made millions off glorifying war in Hollywood, playing soldiers and fighters. But when it comes to real policy, real change, you're out of your depth. You don't understand what real veterans go through. You profit off their image while supporting politicians who have failed them." The audience gasped. Some clapped nervously, others shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Stallone didn't flinch, but his eyes narrowed. His silence made the moment heavier, more unbearable. The moderator tried to smooth things over, but Stallone raised his hand, signaling he wanted to speak. When he began, his voice was calm but filled with restrained power. "You know," he said slowly, his words measured, "I've been called a lot of things in my life. A meathead, a washed-up actor, a guy who was never supposed to make it. But I'll tell you what I've never been called until now. A man who doesn't care about veterans." He paused, his eyes locking on AOC. "And that's where you just made the biggest mistake of your career." The room grew silent. Even the cameras seemed to zoom closer. Stallone continued, his voice gaining strength. "Do you know where the first paycheck I ever made from Rocky went? It went to my family to put food on the table, and the second check went straight to a local veterans organization. You see, I didn't just make movies about fighters. I lived my life supporting them, quietly, without press releases, without bragging, because for me, veterans aren't a talking point. They're the backbone of this country." The crowd erupted in applause. AOC tried to interrupt, but Stallone raised his voice over her. "You talk about betrayal? Let's talk about betrayal. When Congress votes to cut funding for veterans' housing, when bills to expand mental health support for soldiers are delayed, when men and women who serve this country come home broken and are met with bureaucracy instead of care, that's betrayal. And you've been part of it." Gasps shot through the audience. AOC froze, her usual confidence slipping as Stallone leaned in closer to the microphone. His tone softened, but it carried a weight that filled the entire room. "I visited VA hospitals. I've held the hands of men who couldn't walk anymore because of what they sacrificed overseas. I've talked to veterans who told me they'd rather be back in a war zone than fight the government for basic health care. And while you throw around insults on live TV, those same men and women are still waiting for someone in Washington to put them first." The audience rose to their feet, applauding wildly. Even the moderator struggled to maintain order as the studio transformed into a standing ovation. Stallone's voice cracked just slightly as he finished. "So, Congresswoman, before you lecture me about what veterans go through, maybe spend more time with them. Maybe listen to them, because while you were attacking me, you exposed yourself and your record for betraying the very people you claim to fight for." AOC, usually quick on her feet, sat speechless. Her lips parted as if to respond, but no words came. The camera caught the moment. A congresswoman silenced by an actor who had turned her attack into a powerful defense of America's forgotten heroes. By the next morning, the clip had gone viral. Millions shared it online, praising Stallone not just for his defense of veterans, but for exposing the hypocrisy that so often lingers in politics. Hashtags trended. "Stallone for veterans? AOC exposed." Veterans groups issued statements thanking Stallone for speaking on their behalf. But perhaps the most powerful image wasn't Stallone's fiery words. It was the tearful veteran captured in the audience, clapping with everything he had, mouthing the words "thank you," as the actor defended him and millions like him. The moment became more than a clash between a Hollywood star and a politician. It became a reminder. Real strength isn't in insults or political theater. It's in defending those who can't always defend themselves. And as Stallone left the stage that night, he didn't gloat, didn't bask in victory. He walked over to the veterans seated in the audience, shaking their hands one by one. For him, it wasn't about winning a debate. It was about making sure their voices long ignored were finally heard.